Welcome to the Sharkpreneur podcast with Kevin Harrington and Seth Greene. Kevin Harrington is the inventor of the infomercial, one of the original sharks from the hit TV show Shark Tank, and has generated over $5 billion in TV and digital direct response sales. Seth Greene is the world's first trusted authority on cutting-edge direct response marketing, a best-selling author, and the only 3-time Marketer of the Year nominee. On the podcast, Kevin and Seth interview sharkpreneurs who share straight talk on what it takes to explode your business.
49 faces looked to him in triumph. Over the last 12 months, they had each taken turns and promoted his business for a week at a time, driving over $987,342 in revenue. What if you had a network of 50 centers of influence who promoted your business every week for a year? Grab your copy of the #1 Amazon best-selling book, The Ultimate Guide to Growing Your Business with a Podcast, at 33% off the Amazon price by going to ultimatepodcastbook.com. Again, that website for 33% off the Amazon price is ultimatepodcastbook.com. Welcome to the podcast. This is your co-host, Seth Greene. Today I have the good fortune to be joined by John Mitchell of Think It, Be It. John, thanks so much for joining us.
Hey, it's my pleasure. I'm looking forward to this.
Me too. So let's go back in time a little bit. How did you get started?
Well, basically, I became an entrepreneur when I was 30, started out as a CPA. And when I got to be 30, I'm like, okay, I want to have more control over my life. And in my 30s and 40s, I was in 7 different businesses. And then, Seth, when I hit 50, I just wasn't as successful as I thought I should be. And I had like 2 goals in my life. One was to make enough money so I didn't have to work. And the other was to find the woman of my dreams. And so at 50, I'm falling short on both of them. And on the money, I always did pretty well. Always made $200,000, $300,000 a year. But when I hit 50, I saw that to have the exceptional life I always dreamed of, I had to net $1 million a year, as materialistic as that sounds. And then on the girl, at 50, I'd never been married, although I did a lot of interviewing, I must say. I called it interviewing. My friends called it begging, which is probably more accurate. But at 50, I'm like, okay, how do I change things? And the idea comes to me, find the top book in the world on success and apply that book literally word for word to my life. And so I'm thinking that's a pretty good idea. I jump out of bed and Seth, I discovered something really surprising. There's one book that's been read by 150 million people, and it's the top book in the world on success. And it's the book Think and Grow Rich, which I bet you've read, right?
I read it every single day. I have read it many, many times.
Oh, wow. Wow. Well, I am all excited. I'm thinking this is lining up perfect. So I go buy the book, read the book. Then I discovered the problem. The book says there's a secret for success, but he only gives us half of the secret. It's on the reader to figure out the other half. And so I'm bummed out. I mope around for like 3 weeks. And Seth, one day I just wake up and I go, John, come on, just man up, figure out the damn secret. And so I just immersed myself in the book over like 2 to 3 months and probably read it 20 times and ultimately figure out the secret and a 12-minute-a-day technique to apply it. And so I started applying it to a new business I started in the reverse mortgage field. And quickly, my income starts doubling and doubling and doubling to where, like 4 years later, I'm making 25 times the 200 to 300 grand a year I was making the prior 20 years. And of course, I felt so blessed. But Seth, what was so cool was I could see why it was happening. I was just playing the game of life at a higher level. I could do things I could never do before. I had a level of control over my life I'd never experienced before. And I just became fascinated that you could take 2 key scientific principles and apply them to your life and so materially impact your success. And so about 10 years ago, I finally had enough money so I didn't have to work. And I sold my company, and a month or 2 later, meet the former chancellor and president here at the University of Texas at Austin. And he says, hey, you got to teach this at the University of Texas, and why don't we teach it together? And that led to him introducing me to our athletic director. He says, I want to learn this 12-minute a day technique. And that led to becoming the mental coach for the 18 head coaches. And so now I teach my methodology in a course called The Science of Success, The Science of Leveraging Yourself. And I teach it to adults through my book, The Missing Secret.
That is absolutely fantastic. And I'm sure the longer version of that story is in your book, or if it isn't, it should be.
Right.
Can you walk us through, like, what does a typical 12-minute session look like? What are the components? How do you pull that off?
Well, let me explain what the secret is. Maybe that's a good way to do it.
Absolutely.
So there's a little more going on with me at 50 than just feeling the scarcity of time. Um, I was my mom was dying of pancreatic cancer, and I was living in Dallas at the time, and so every day I'd go and see her in the hospital. I'd hold her hand, love on her, and Seth, after I'd leave, I'd go in the cold dark parking lot and just cry my eyes out for like 45 minutes or an hour. And again, this is this is going on for like 6 to 8 weeks, and obviously I'm feeling the impending loss of my mom, but I knew there was something deeper going on because I have never experienced that level of emotional upheaval night after night for an hour a night. I mean, it was I knew there was something going on here. And what I realized was, my mom and dad gave me everything. They sent me to Jesuit High School in Dallas. They sent me to the University of Texas. I didn't have to pay for a thing, and my dad worked for the government, so they weren't rich, but they gave me all the advantages. And so, as my mom is leaving this world, I'm reflecting on my life and all the advantages she gave me, and all I had to show for my life at 50 was an average life. And I hated the average life because I just knew I was capable of so much more. But I now see that intense feeling of letting my mom down was like rocket fuel and causing me to go deeper into Think and Grow Rich and figure out the full secret beyond what anybody else had ever done. And so one particular night, as this was going on, probably 6 or 7 weeks in, I go see my mom, love on her, hold her hand, go in the parking lot, cry my eyes out. But Seth, this particular night was different because it was snowing. And now I know in Buffalo it's snowing all the time, but in Dallas it rarely snows. And so it just felt different. So I start driving home and I see the big snowflakes hit my windshield. And I get home and I plop myself in my comfy chair and I start reading Think and Grow Rich. Again, probably the 20th time I'm reading it. But this particular night, I read that your daily actions determine your success in each area of your life. The cumulative effect of your daily actions determine your success in each area of your life. Like, okay, never thought of success in that simple terms, but I buy that. Then I read that 95% of my daily actions are unconscious. 95% of my daily actions are unconscious. I'm like, that's interesting. And so by now I'm ready to go to bed. And so I wash my face and brush my teeth and put my little head on the pillow. And Seth, I cannot stop thinking about what I just read, that 95% of my daily thoughts and actions are unconscious. And as I'm laying there, it's like a bolt of lightning strikes me. I sit up in the bed and I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. If my daily actions determine my success and 95% of them are unconscious, then I don't control the very thing that's determining my success. And I'm like, I mean, it was one of those surreal moments. I'm seeing the snow falling in my backyard, and it's just, this surreal moment. And then I'm like, well, wait a minute. Then what is controlling my daily actions? Well, if they're unconscious, then it's my subconscious mind, my autopilot. And then it starts to hit me. I'm like, oh, now I'm getting this. I'm like, I haven't been underperforming in terms of success because I'm not sharp enough or intelligent enough or driven enough. I've been I've been underperforming because I've had a false belief about success for 50 years. And that false belief is that I control my daily actions. And I dare say that everybody listening to this has that same false belief that they believe they control their daily actions, when in fact, it's documented science that 95% of your daily actions are unconscious. And so it was more or less at that moment that then the full secret comes to me. And the full secret of Think and Grow Rich is what you envision in detail with emotion on a daily basis is what shows up in your life. And let me say that again. What you envision in detail with emotion on a daily basis is what shows up in your life. And Seth, what that means is you step back from your life and you create immense clarity. Exactly the person you want to be, exactly what you want to accomplish, and precisely how you're going to achieve your clearly defined goals. Then you take that clarity and put it on a template I created, which also helps you create the clarity. And then you feed it to yourself every day. And it takes approximately 12 minutes a day. And once you do that, then three things happen. First thing you experience is an immense sense of control over your life. Well, of course you would. You're feeding the succinct articulation of your desired life to yourself each day. Of course you'd feel control. Then the second thing you experience is confidence, which is a direct result of the control. You're also creating immense order in the mind, which causes all stress, virtually all stress, to just dissipate away. And then the final thing you experience, and this takes 21 days before you experience this, then the right actions happen automatically without thinking. And your life is profoundly changed once you have that level of control over your life.
Absolutely. So, absolutely love that journey that you've been on and where you arrived. You talk about rewiring your autopilot and influencing the subconscious. How do we do that?
Well, it starts by understanding basically how the human mind works. Here's how it works. Conscious mind sets your intentions and it's influenced by logic. Subconscious mind is controlling your daily actions, or 95% of them, and it's only influenced by repetition. And an example, let's say you want to lose weight. Conscious mind sets the intention to lose weight based on the logic of the health benefits. But the reason people fail to lose weight is obviously not from lack of intention, but from lack of influencing the part of their brain that's controlling their actions, their eating, their exercising. And so you can see when you feed the succinct articulation of your desired life to yourself each day, which includes all the right actions in each area of your life, your marriage, your health, your career, that's the repetition the subconscious mind needs to make the right actions happen automatically without thinking. Does that make sense?
It makes total sense. So, you've achieved so much success and you're helping so many other people now. What's your biggest challenge?
That's a great question. I think, well, let me put it to you this way, and you'll relate to it. So a few years ago, I decided I'm going to share what I created with the top expert in the world on success. And so, if I'm going to spend the rest of my life doing this, uh, I just want to see if there's something similar, if there is there something, any flaws in it. And so I decided that Darren Hardy's the top expert in the world on success, who I bet you know.
Yep.
And so I write a big check. Um, I take my wife, Ginger, who I also met through doing this methodology. We fly out to La Jolla, California, spend 3 days with Darren, and the moment comes to show him the template and explain it to him. And he looks at it and goes, wow, this is really good. But he says, John, people aren't going to spend 12 minutes a day on this. And I'm like, Darren, how the heck can that be? It's 25x my income. Time Magazine did a cover story on the science behind this, and we're applying the central concept of the top book in the world on success. How can this not? How can people not spend 12 minutes a day on this? He sort of smiles and goes, John, the dirty little secret in the success business is that more success is merely a preference for the vast majority of people, literally 98% of people. He says this is only appropriate for the 2%, the driven 2%. And Seth, I used to think, oh, this is for everybody because everybody wants to be more successful. And that changed my approach. And he was so right. And, and I started finding people like me, entrepreneurs making 200 grand a year that wanted to make, $1 million a year. And I started teaching it to them, and I'd give them a money back guarantee that if I couldn't double their income within a year, I'd give them their money back. So I'd charge them typically 20 grand, and the math played out to where they'd get a 35 or 40 to 1 return. And I started documenting everybody that I did, and then it just sort of evolved that I'm like, the more leveraged way to do this is to really teach it to coaches. And so that has been the evolution. So that's probably a long explanation of my biggest challenge is now finding the 2%ers.
Awesome. That totally makes sense. Well, your passion is obvious. What do you like best about what you're doing?
Well, I have something that's life-changing. And I mean, I see how precious life is. And I see that most people are just winging life. They don't have a way of doing life, right? And if you look at their morning routine, they have nothing that's impacting their mindset. And one of the things I see today is that people get created from the outside in rather than the inside out, because all we all want is peace and happiness. Well, when you're getting created from the outside in and social media and what other people think, that's a lousy thing because it stimulates that negative inner voice. We're all innately wired for survival, which causes us to be fear-based and reactive. And so if you do nothing to counteract being innately wired for survival, that's how you're going to be. You're going to be fear-based. You're going to be reactive. You're going to have the feeling of not enough. And it's a lousy friggin' way to live. And there's an alternative. And the reason people are winging life is nobody showed them what the alternative is. So I'm showing you the alternative.
Well, we greatly appreciate that. And we greatly appreciate your time. We know it's incredibly valuable. So thank you for spending some of it with us. For our folks watching and listening who want to learn more, where can they go to get the book? Where can they go to learn about the process? Where can they go to learn about your podcast? Give them all the places.
Okay, it's pretty easy. Go to themissingsecret.org, www.themissingsecret.org. And for your audience, I created a 9-minute video that explains the full secret of Think and Grow Rich and how to apply it. And so you can watch the video, and if you like that, then you can buy my book. It's on Amazon. Again, the name of it is The Missing Secret of the legendary book Think and Grow Rich. And I also have a podcast called The Missing Secret Podcast.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for joining us. We greatly appreciate that. Check out themissingsecret.org. Thank you, everyone, for watching or listening. We will talk to you or see you next time.
Why do so many businesses struggle while others seem to explode overnight? Do you wish you had the secret to this type of exponential growth? Now, I've scaled more than 20 businesses to over $100 million, and it's not just luck. In my new book with Mark Tim, Mentor to Millions, you'll learn the repeatable framework I use in all my business ventures for massive success. Order at kevinmentor.com and get over $1,000 in bonuses. Head to kevinmentor.com.